What up, Instagram, TV, IGTV? God, it's so confusing. There's like feed, stories, IG Live, IGTV. It's like,
what? I've never done any of this. Maybe live.
I think personally that I'm now too old to keep up.
Yeah, it's crazy.
All right, so today we're going to be talking about several topics, 3 in particular. We're going to basically brain dump about soccer training. First of all, we're going to do in-season, then we're going to do some injury stuff, talking about hamstrings and ACLs. And then we're going to talk about business, some private sector things. In case you guys don't know Erica, I don't know why you wouldn't. Her is @Fit Soccer Queen. She's a skill and technical trainer based out of Baltimore, right?
Yep.
Word. And it's me, obviously. And Erica played college as well as semi-pro in Brazil, right? Mm-hmm. And I also have playing experience. And we both coach at the kid, amateur, recreational college. And do you have pros?
No. I've been playing programs, but I don't currently train pros.
Okay. So we're in that world. So we're going to tackle some of this stuff from the strength coach angle, from the athlete angle, and also from the female strength coach angle, because everything's more fun that way.
Yeah.
All right. So let's hit in-season training. We did a podcast before about your off and preseason training. Where are you guys now, and how are you approaching in-season?
So everyone here is about a month into their season. So ideally, I'd like to see people twice a week. But right now, schedules have just been so crazy. I'm seeing most of my players once a week on Saturdays, and those end up being more so recovery workouts because they're usually playing games like Tuesdays and Fridays, so games twice a week, and then they practice on Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. So that Saturday workout is just 45 to 60-minute recovery workout. They're coming in, doing the dynamic warm-up. We're working on mobility, maybe even doing some steady state cardio, and then just addressing any asymmetries, and just, making sure people are still moving in a healthy way.
Now, where did your preseason end up? Because as you and I have discussed many times, there's pretty much no off-season in professional soccer. Also, I'm assuming college and rec soccer as well. The preseason is pretty volume-based, and then they should be as strong as they're ever going to be at the end of preseason going into the season. So now you're in the first month.
Right.
Probably starting to decrease. You're having to do load management. So how did they end up at the end of preseason?
So a lot of the athletes I worked with, they ended up doing like a preseason with me. So a week or two before they went off to their high school or club coaches. So really those coaches had them for their true preseason. And during this time, they're doing fitness tests. So some of these range from like Man United's to the yo-yo test to 1 mile, 2 mile run. So there's a lot of running volume. And then on top of that, some of them are doing 2 days and just like playing and scrimmaging. So it's just a lot of load. It's pretty nonstop. I don't think any of them really had a day off in their preseason.
Yeah.
So when I let them go, I was almost kind of backing off in this preseason because I knew what was on the horizon the next week with the fitness tests and all the playing. So it really was just kind of doing activation stuff, maybe working on more mobility, doing still endurance, but not with a whole lot of change of direction. I just kind of wanted to taper that off a little bit. And yeah, it just wasn't anything too intense because I didn't want them going into their preseason with their other coaches completely burned out without having any sort of deload.
Yeah, makes sense. I think the overarching question for strength coaches and also athletic trainers who are working with professional college, high school soccer is how do you keep an athlete healthy, make them strong, and also allow them to perform when they play 11 months out of the year, essentially. Because even like you were saying, our preseason as well in Germany, like they have test games for pretty much all of preseason. So you're looking at maybe having 1 to 2, max 3 months off in a year. And that's not very much time to run a hypertrophy and a strength program. So
Yeah.
how do we answer that question with in-season training being most of the year?
Right. So, I mean, the in-season training, it really depends on who you get. So if you're getting people who are playing a couple times a week and pretty much nonstop and not really getting a day off, then when they see you as the private sector strength coach, you are filling in the gaps of what they're not getting. So their recovery, their mobility, maybe working on breathing, stretching, addressing any like nutritional or hydration needs. I've had several girls come into me on Saturdays during our recovery workouts, and they're just so sore and so burnt out. And I mean, I'm not surprised. So if they're coming in like that, I can't really be running into the ground. I can't be working on too much maximal strength. It's just all maintenance and recovery at that point.
Yeah.
And I know some of my girls they're in their high school season and their club coaches are still having practice. So I have to work around that. And yeah, it's a lot of pressure. Like it's really hard to keep everyone healthy given these schedules. It really is. So I think us private sector strength coaches, we're just doing the best we can with what the athletes are telling us, with what we know of their schedules, and we're just going from there.
Yeah, I think that's true. Like, yeah, the best you can, because especially also in Germany, like everybody has jobs, or in college, everybody's in school. You can't control the outside stresses, whether there's class or work or family stuff or whatever. Like, body doesn't differentiate between stress. We say that all the time. But like, apart from practice, you can't control what their coach is doing. You don't control the rest of their schedule. It's just, I feel like I'm just doing load management and fatigue control during the season.
Yeah.
But then I also kind of feel useless, because it's like, I'm a strength coach. I want to make sure that you stay healthy. And when I'm pretty much just saying, for this hour, we're just going to chill, I almost feel like that's wasteful. But
I think it's good. I mean, you kind of have to incorporate that stress management into your load management.
yeah.
And sometimes people just want to see their strength coach and like have a chill workout. I mean, there was one week when we played like head and catch and like did like juggling games. So obviously not too strenuous, but just fun enough for everyone to get touches on the ball and just have some fun. And I think there's definitely some value in that, especially with all these overwhelming schedules.
Man, you're telling me what? I mean, yeah, everybody needs a good low CNS day, or they're not even getting a day, they're getting a good low CNS hour.
Yes. Yes, the central nervous system's real. It really is.
It is, and unfortunately, it's not something that's easily communicated to and understood by and implemented by sport coaches.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I don't know about you over there, but my CNS is always stimulated because I'm like freaking anxious about like my players' schedules and everyone getting injured. I am constantly like in a state of anxiety over here because I'm just trying to make sure everyone's good.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It is load management for 10 months. Like, but then also, again, I feel like we just do the load management, and then you've got maybe 2 months out of the year to build a stronger athlete before they go right back in there and do it again.
Yeah. And 2 months is not a whole lot. And even if you're training 2 to 4 days a week, not a whole lot.
And so what do we say about strength training in season? What's kind of the look at that?
Yeah. So again, it's going to just be more maintenance. That's not to say there won't be days where we're not pulling some heavy weight. If we are pulling some heavy weight, we might be doing like single or double sets with like a nice long break and some breathing in between. So yeah, we are still grinding out some load, but it's nothing that's really going to fatigue someone.
But you're staying submaximal, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. Basically. Yep.
And are you, well, at submaximal, are you in a hypertrophy phase? Again, you can't really do any phase, you can't run any phases in season. There's nothing.
Yeah, all the phases kind of just go out the window.
Yeah, what's your cadence? Like what are you prescribing for volume for athletes for strength training in season?
Right. So, gosh, anywhere from 2 to 3 sets.
Okay.
Nothing really more than that. And then as far as reps, just more 2 to 6.
Okay. Full body or just lower body focus?
Everything.
Okay.
Activation work, maybe some accessory movements might be a little bit more, but again, like there's not much we're working with. It's not like we can do like 5 sets of 8 over here or like 3 sets of 15. Like it's not going to happen.
No, you're not giving them a 4x10.
No. Yeah. No, as far as activation work, so like we're talking like core and hips, what are you doing with your athletes? Are you still doing activation work in season, kind of?
Yeah, so biomechanics is a big thing for me, and I'm big on hips and ankles because those are two things that generally knees and backs go out because of. I use that as much as I can in the warm-up, and then have specific exercises that if we need to stick something in sets, again, this is saying that I get athletes for more than once a week.
Yes.
But yeah, if twice a week is the best we can do, then that works. Warm up and try and do specific exercises more times throughout the week that you can just like do at home, work on your weaknesses, things like that. Most soccer athletes, in my experience and in my opinion, tend to have internal, external rotation problems depending on position, depending on level of play, and depending on age, how severe it is, and injury history, of course. But I want to make sure that the internal, external rotation of the hips remains sufficient. Because when you're looking at an athlete and doing the test, and all you're seeing is this, and not a good actual rotation of the hip, you know you already have some level of issue you need to combat. So I try and prevent that. That's pretty much all I got.
Right. Yeah, I think just like no matter what phase you're in, just looking at the hips and everything surrounding the hips, so the trunk area as well. I like that you look at ankles as well. I mean, that's ultimately the foundation of your entire chain, your entire body. So I really like that a lot. And we're starting to do more ankle stuff and like calf strengthening in season and off season. I like that.
I think, and this is just from having played soccer and now being a coach, we look at the weirdest things, but watching gait, every soccer player runs the same, all like this. Heel strike, run with the outside of the foot, push off, long on the big toe. Heel strike, outside of the foot, push off on the big toe. And that's horrible for biomechanics. Horrible. Yeah. And so that's my thought always about ankle. I want to make sure we actually have a reasonable degree of flexion in plantar and dorsey.
Yep. Yeah. Dorsey too, in terms of like direction. That's huge.
Absolutely. Yeah. We do ask a lot of soccer players. They need a lot of skill. They need full body. Soccer is a very all-encompassing sport, and I feel like we really neglect training and regeneration on too many things that we can't let the ankles and hips go. If nothing else, those are really important.
Yeah, for sure.
That said, now we've got knees and hamstrings.
I love knees.
All right, why don't you take us away on what your outlook is and experience is with working with coaches on injury prevention that's really just part of the program for ACLs.
Right. So over here, we have a lot of coaches under the impression that ACL injury prevention is like its standalone program. So they think, okay, like we need to do a separate program of like balance work and maybe like some hops and bounds, when ACL prevention is really just a comprehensive strength and conditioning program that touches on everything. So we're working on total body strength, single leg strength, how to land, how to decelerate, how to withstand force, how to change direction. And then on top of all that, the conditioning component is huge, because most players are tearing their ACL second half when they're fatigued. So conditioning is also a part of this whole injury prevention puzzle. So again, it's not, ACL injury is not its own standalone program. It's everything. We got to be thinking about all the factors at play in why someone might blow out their ACL. And beyond just like the physical part, it could be a hydration issue. It could be a lack of sleep issue. There's so many things that go into ACL injury happening. We do our best to address all of those as strength coaches.
Yeah. How do you assess, as a strength coach with your athletes, their, I don't want to say probability, I guess their potential to have an ACL injury?
I'm just looking at general movement. So just gait pattern, any asymmetries in the hips, or performing unilateral exercises. I can tell if like one side's compensating. We do maximal strength testing, so deadlift, squat. But that's really what I'm looking at. Those are some big ones for me. How about you?
Yeah, same. Biomechanics, essentially. And unilateral, I think, is really important. Having enough strength, but also stability, to land unilaterally, to accelerate unilaterally, jump unilaterally. I mean, force absorption and development is really important on one leg in soccer. It just is. So, and unfortunately, a lot of the times, like you said, ACL injury happens under fatigue a lot in the second half. Freak accidents, as we like to call them, players looking the other way and they land, or something just goes wrong.
Yeah.
I think the load management is a big part of that as well. And that's our job. So.
Yeah, it is. It is our job, and it is also the coach's job too. But again, there has to be communication between everyone.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what we all need to move toward. So even if you're like a private sector strength coach, we should reach out to soccer coaches and educate them more. I mean, personally, I could do a better job. And recently I have been, so. Yeah.
Good.
I'm trying.
Yeah, it's hard because things have always been done the way that they've been done. And I can't emphasize enough, like, I never go to a club and say, I'm going to do your injury prevention. Like, injury prevention is just a part of the strength program. We're not going to be like taking up your time by having everybody stand on BOSU balls. First of all, if BOSU balls didn't exist, I would be fine with that. Like, we're not going to be just doing random stability exercises. We're going to have an actual program that makes the athlete strong and tries to keep them healthy for the entire season. That includes injury prevention. It just naturally does.
Yeah.
Oh!
Yeah.
You know, in our first weekend of play in the women's professional team here, the Frauen-Bundesliga, 3 ACLs on the first game day.
Yeah, I saw you tag me in that, and I about like lost my
dog, what? Like,
I almost dropped my coffee.
Because that first game day, you should be the strongest and most fit of your entire season, like we just said. There's no reason. I get freak accidents, but like, dog.
But 3 is a lot.
Especially in the top flight, again, first league. If you have all these resources, why do 3 starting players lose ACLs in the first weekend? Is wild.
That's a lot. That is a lot. Yeah, I don't know. Do you know anything about the program, or do they have GPS, load management? Did they have an off season?
Bro, I'm trying to keep it together.
That's crazy.
I mean, the strength training component could be so much better. And the thing is, it doesn't have to take that much time. It's not, we're not changing the world with this. It's small incremental changes to make an athlete slowly and incrementally, gradually stronger and faster. It's not, I need 8 weeks so we can do a maximal strength program, or I'm going to destroy this athlete with fatigue because we're going to do a massive volume program. Like, it's not that way. Let us in at any point, even in season. I'd be happy to work with athletes in season, because anything is better than nothing, essentially. So that doesn't exist. Yes, a lot of them have GPS, a lot of them have load management.
Right.
They have a lot of like smartphone assessment tools where they can talk to the club doctors and whatever. But yeah, man, the upkeep, that's so important. The upkeep. And the first day of the season, oh, that scared me so bad. I hope it gets better. But also hamstrings. We've had 3 or 4 hamstrings already this season.
Yeah, hamstrings are, I feel they should be a little bit easier to prevent.
You'd think. But soccer is still a push dominant sport, right? So we tend to get a lot of anterior chain load and a lot of anterior chain work. And I think the focus on the posterior just isn't there.
Yeah. Do you also think that, like, because I'd imagine, I don't know the stats on it, but most hamstring strains are happening from like a full out maximal speed sprint.
Yeah.
So do you think this is also like a not training maximal speed sprints enough issue as well, and like recruiting those muscles and not being prepared to run that intensity in the game, like straight line running, like 30 yards down the field?
Yeah.
Or getting back on defense, like
when you're running. Yeah, I think we don't train top speed enough. I think we don't.
Or acceleration training.
I think we don't train acceleration, top speed, deceleration, and then reacceleration.
Well, like, when can we? Like, when, like in a perfect world, like we would actually have time to do all this stuff without totally overloading people. But like, so yeah, that's part of the problem too, is just like the structure of the seasons.
Yeah, it's just the insane CNS load. Like Derek Hansen would say, microdose it, and that's what I've tried to do as well. Like, add that in at the beginning 2 or 3 times a week if you can. But again, it's the access to the athletes that we don't necessarily have. I'm trying to find the balance of, if I get them once a week, what's the best thing I can give them in the season to make sure we don't have ACLs, we don't have hamstrings, our hips and ankles stay in good shape, which hopefully takes care of those as well. But also,
so in season, are you doing like sprint work, like even just like kept at a minimum, like anywhere from like 4 to 6 reps, just maximal sprints, long recovery?
Yeah,
because we're doing that as well, especially in the warm up.
It's worth the time.
Yeah.
They need to hit top velocity or top speed in a controlled environment first and be able to perfect that before I send them out on the pitch and have them go run 30 yards at top speed in an uncontrolled environment where they're going to get knocked, where they're going to get, it's worth the time for me to give 5 to 10 minutes, even 5 to 8 minutes to sprinting in workouts.
Yeah. So we'd agree that it's a posterior strength problem, sprinting problem.
Yeah.
And just overall not having an off-season problem.
Fatigue, man. Fatigue is awful.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
The whole season are just going to deteriorate more and more because of fatigue, because the maximal strength is decreasing, and the volume is increasing, maximal strength is decreasing. I mean, what can you expect? How do we keep athletes healthy in season when everything's working against them, essentially?
It's as hard as climbing Mount Everest.
Yeah, but it's the love of our lives, so good luck to us.
Yeah, it is.
We're deep in this.
I'm in a constant state of anxiety over here. Secrets out.
We're in it, though. That's why it's important to ask the questions, because it's still worth it once a week to sprint. It's still worth it once a week to lift. I mean, I would rather not 2 times, but if one is all I get, then we're going to do the best we can.
Yep. Just attack as many components as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Special level of periodization though.
Yeah, I don't know what that kind of periodization would be called. Maybe like winging it periodization.
Seat of your pants periodization.
Yeah, improvisation.
Improvisation, exactly.
Man, we should rewrite the new super training textbook and include these because these are legit.
Improving for high performance sport.
Yeah, there you go.
Kind of like micro periodization. I mean,
I like that too.
Literally down to the day, you're having to micro periodize what you're doing on an hour-to-hour basis.
Yeah. I don't know about you, but like I'm always like crossing out programs, changing shit.
Yeah.
Like, no, we're not gonna do this conditioning today. We're just gonna do some breathing for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, yes.
I think what are staples of my program though, if I had to nail it down to it, and then I'll ask you what yours are hips and ankles for biomechanics, pulling more than pushing, 2-to-1, 3-to-1 if I have to, unilateral, and speed, sprinting at top.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'd say sprinting, game specific conditioning, so cognitive load, strength, pulling, pushing, posterior, anterior, both bilateral, unilateral. Yeah. And then I'm really big on the hips working together with the core to prevent injury. And then just reinforcing running mechanics and coordination.
Yeah, I think those are big.
Yeah.
I think I'm learning more and more that sprinting has a good impact on change of direction. So putting those two together is really a good power couple, but they get so much of that in the game that balance.
Yeah.
Again, athlete feedback is for me the most important thing. Like their evals are great. I give them eval sheets. But like, how are you feeling today? How are you feeling right now? Like, how does this feel when we do it right now? Because if they're tired, they're tired, and I'm not going to push that.
Yeah. Yeah, communication is key.
Yeah.
So it's a load management form in itself.
Yeah, it's true. It's a lost art as well.
Yeah.